Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Town Manager's Corner. My name's Scott Lambiase, and I'm your town manager. And I believe this is season 2.5. We were debating whether it was season 3 or not, but we had a short hiatus. As you're aware, the Town Manager's Corner, I like to go around and meet with department heads and committees and just talk about what's going on with the department, introduce them to the public, so you guys out there get to see who's running the town, who's working for you, and what we do. So today I got a special guest. Today I'm meeting with the town moderator, Shawn Reilly, and I know most of you probably know him, but I'm not sure if everybody knows what the town moderator does. So without further ado, Shawn, welcome to Town Manager's Corner.
Thank you. It's odd being on this side of the interview, but thank you very much.
I know. Well, normally we're, and we do have a special town meeting coming up. So normally you and I are doing this and we're going over what's coming up at town meeting or what's on the warrant. And we'll probably do that in the coming weeks because we do have that special for the end of September. But today I kind of really wanted to, find out a little, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Shawn Reilly. I grew up and was raised and educated here in Abington. Love the town. I am a local real estate attorney with an office right in Abington's center, and I like to be really involved in the community. My parents, Jack and Ann, were very involved and kind of taught us as kids that you always want to give back and make the community better than what leave it even better for your kids. And I have 2 daughters, and I have a great wife, Kathy. And so I take I work hard during the day, but I also like to invest myself in things like the Greenway Boosters and supporting the Abington High School and the elementary schools, and involved with, just anything that's going on. Great way to meet people in town, and the town has a lot of great people, especially when we come together, whether it's because of tragedy or because of triumph. It's just a way to stay involved in, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, is part of what I think. And so the only elected office that I hold is town moderator. It's a 3-year term, and essentially the town moderator, of course, the number one thing is to run town meeting. Town meeting is usually once or twice a year, so it's not a lot of heavy lifting. There's a lot of preparation leading up to
there's a bit when we get closer to the time.
There's a lot of behind the scenes work with the finance committee and the selectmen and the accounting and treasurer's offices and the town manager's office, of course, trying to get ready for town meeting. And our goal is hopefully that town meeting itself, for that 2 or 3 hour period or an hour, is efficient as possible, and that things are explained as clearly as possible so people understand what they're voting for or voting against.
And for that you get a whopping $0.
It's a volunteer position. Again, just trying to help out. Finance committee members are all volunteer positions. Selectmen are all volunteer positions. No benefits, no health benefits, anything like that. That's not why we do it.
Now, and you mentioned the finance committee, and one of the functions in the charter has the town moderator selects and appoints members of the finance committee.
Right.
And so the finance committee is a group of volunteers who meet quite regularly, working up towards budget season. They actually go over the budget with myself, all the department heads, and they scrutinize the budget. It's a very hard-working, very busy committee. And again, volunteers. And so tell me a little bit about, finding volunteers and getting people and selecting people for.
Well, the finance committee is made up of 9 residents who are volunteers, as Scott said. And their job is to be a second set of eyes on the executive branch's proposed budget, meaning the town manager, selectmen put together a budget, and then this committee of 9 residents reviews it, critiques it. They'll interview or work with all of the department heads, town officials, and kind of ask, why is this up, why is this down, what should we invest in, what should we save? And with a 9-member board or committee, you get a lot of different points of opinions, which is healthy, because I try to put people on the committee who have different point of views. I like to have some older residents, some younger residents, some residents with kids, some retirees, male and female. And if you watch their meetings, you see that they really hash things out and kind of, I think it's very helpful to the voter who eventually attends town meeting, because a lot of those people who attend town meeting also watch the finance committee meetings, and they can hear the questions that they're yelling at the TV screen. Well, ask them this, and then someone asks the question, so they hear the answer. And our department heads and town officials are professionals, and they are very good at explaining things and justifying or trying to save money. So it's a real healthy committee for making the town operate as efficient as possible. So we usually put the word out if there's a vacancy and just ask them to either contact your office or contact me or contact any member of the finance committee. In fact, we do have one, possibly two vacancies coming up. So if you're interested, you can contact the town manager's office, 982-2100, or you can call me at my law office, 878-2568. There's no prerequisite as to any sort of professional background, or, but we'd just like to know that you are open-minded, that you will listen to different points of view, that if you have the minority view, that you're willing to speak up and say it, because I think people need to hear different points of view, and that might cause someone to change their vote on the committee. And so I think it's healthy if, whether the vote is 8-1, that's fine. Sometimes they're 5-4, a lot of them 9-0. Yep. But it's a very hard-working committee, and it is a time commitment.
Yeah, and it's, it kind of ramps up, if it's just going to be before the annual town meeting. Our budget season will begin in October, and the meetings will start end of October, early November, and go right through until town meeting, which, if we have it on time, by the charter, it's going to be in April.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of nights, sometimes once a week. There may be weeks where they meet twice a week, and it's at night. Again, no prerequisite. I think everybody should spend a couple of years on the finance committee. Everybody who's interested in town, because you will get a really good idea. You will meet with every department head. They'll justify their budget to you. They'll justify why things are the way they are in their world. Why we might feel that we need a new ambulance, or why we might need, a new street sweeper. What happened to the old street sweeper? Are we taking care of it? Yeah, we are, but.
Right, should we rent something or buy something?
Right.
All that debate is there, and it really works well. And I think, actually being a member of the Finance Committee used to be kind of an unwritten prerequisite to become a selectman, because that's how you learn the ins and outs of the town government and how things work and why things had to work. Some things have to be funded certain ways by mandates. And so the Finance Committee members, it's a very educational process. And a lot of the Finance Committee members move on to then be selectmen to help make the ultimate decisions that eventually then get ratified by town meeting. So it's an important part of the town where citizens are really, again, they oversee the budget. In fact, when we get to our town meeting in Abington, as many of you know, it's the Finance Committee that makes the recommendation or makes the motion for 99% of the articles that go to town meeting. In other towns, that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes the department head will make the motion on their budget, but in Abington, it's the Finance Committee that basically is talking to the residents saying, this is what we recommend you approve based on our review and investigation. So it's worked very successfully in Abington.
Absolutely. And in most towns that I've been in, that's sort of the model, and it offers the most transparency into how the departments function. So again, and the cable company here, Abington Cable, they'll tape and record the shows, all of our meetings. They're up on, within days, up on YouTube or on the cable access channel. So I recommend everybody get involved, watch the shows.
Yeah, the meetings are open to the public. If anyone wants to attend a meeting, you can certainly go, or you can watch it later on tape, or you can get on the Abington CAM website and you can go through all the older meetings, or talk to any member of the committee. Their names are posted on the town website. I want to thank Matt Sala, who's been a longtime member and a longtime chairman, who recently stepped down as chairman to kind of have a little changing of the guard, and we welcome Dan Eddy, who's now the new chairman, and looking forward to Dan to be stepping up to the podium in his first town meeting.
Which could be a special one.
That's right. September 27th, we have a special town meeting coming up. And the only other Other than running town meeting and appointing finance committee, the moderator's other role is to appoint the charter review committee.
Right.
And that's actually in operation right now also. And that's, the town charter is basically similar to our constitution for the town of Abington, sets up the structure of our government, and the charter review committee is required, or our charter requires the town moderator to appoint a committee every 10 years to just review the charter, to see if there's anything that should be updated, revised, edited. And that committee is working very diligently right now, talking to a lot of residents and department heads with suggestions on what do we need to look at. And we'll get a report from them likely at the town meeting in April of 2023.
Yep, that's our hopes. Is there a vacancy on that committee?
There is right now one vacancy. Thank you for bringing that up. Just want to thank Lisa Bezanson, who recently had to step aside because of her work commitments. So we do have one vacancy on the Charter Review Committee. The chairman is Rick Collins. And again, if you're interested, you can put your name and phone number, through to the town manager or to my office, and love to talk to you. And we usually just love to have input, whether you're a new resident or an old resident. Love to have people get involved.
Yeah, and that's another great committee to sort of get some insight into how we operate and how we function as a town, and the town government. So, highly recommend it. So here's something that's come up quite a bit recently, in just to talk about town meeting a little bit. The quorum rule, and currently in our bylaw. The bylaw requires 150.
Right. So the quorum is the minimum number of voters, registered voters, who must be in attendance at town meeting before we can actually open and start town meeting. So you're right. According to our town bylaws, we have to have 150 registered voters to start a town meeting. And it used to be a higher number. It's been dropped to the 150 for several years now. Through the COVID pandemic, the state allowed the Board of Selectmen to lower it to no less than, I think it was 10%, which would have been 15. The Board of Selectmen left it at 75, which I think was good, because you had a reasonable number of people there. Some people were nervous about getting into a crowd, but we had to conduct the town's business. The town has to set a budget every year, so it's very important that we do have people who attend town meeting. Several years ago, there was a proposal to drop the quorum down to, I believe it was a proposal to 75. That actually was neck and neck, the vote. I think the difference in the vote, it lost by less than a dozen votes. And it's always been something discussed, because there are a number of towns in the area who have a 0 quorum. And I'm a member of the Mass Moderators Association, so I get to hear different points of view, once again, from other towns, how they run the show. And dropping it to 0 has actually increased attendance. Because for two main reasons, I'm told. One is people know the town meeting's going to start on time. That if it's a 7 o'clock warrant, then it's going to start at 7. And also, people show up because they don't want a small group to make the decisions. So it ends up that you attract more people and you can get your business done. As town moderator, I don't take a stand whether it's 0 or 50 or 75 or 150. I have had a couple people approach me that they wanted to try to adjust it. That's fine, but they have to submit that proposal to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, and they could submit it through a warrant article.
Yeah.
If they want, or they could just start the dialogue, and maybe the selectmen will bring it up as an article. But it but it is something, because again, like we said, the amount of work that we go into preparing for town meeting, because not only is there the budget, which is typically, as we said, takes a lot of time of volunteer committees, a lot of time of your department heads, a lot of time of the moderator and myself. Town council is involved. It's quite a bit of work goes into it, and that's our that's how we're setting our goals, objectives for the next fiscal year. So for all these people to spend all that time, it's disheartening if we can't get the meeting going, or if the meeting just doesn't happen because we don't get to.
It's also it's somewhat disheartening with a town our size with several thousand voters that we can't get 150 people at 7 o'clock.
Right.
I mean, that's the minimum. The auditorium seats over 700 people, and the more, the better, to have more people involved in the vote. But at the same time, we also understand that parents are busy. People are out there working 2 jobs. Parents have 2, 3 kids at home. They can't just come for a couple of hours. Some people cannot do that. So it's understood. So there's always the balance of, trying to have, a good number of people at town meeting to get things done. And Abington has been, relatively successful in the last several years. I mean, I remember not too long ago, and I'm sure some of the older residents in town know this, when the quorum was 250, 300, and we used to have some of our town meetings at the Frollo School, and we would be sitting there for half an hour, 45 minutes, people trying to make phone calls. And what they used to do back in the day, you can't do it anymore, is they'd pull the fire alarm at the Frollo School, because people would hear that the school was burning, so people would show up. And they would ask them to go check in. You can't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore.
Don't recommend that.
But that's when they started to lower the quorum, because this is getting frivolous, that we're pulling fire alarms to try to get people to town meeting.
You didn't do that.
No, couldn't do that. It was
somebody else.
Not saying, I was not town moderator way back then. But we encourage people to come to town meeting, even if you've never been. I think we try to do our best to explain everything before you vote, so you understand what you're voting, and you can always watch a past town meeting again on the town website. There's a link to the town meeting information.
Yeah, and we try, and we've been working the last couple of years, and we'll try and do better this year to get as much information out to everybody, so you're fully informed, and it can be an efficient meeting.
Yeah.
We don't want to keep you there any later than we have to, but that's the form of government that we have here. It's an open town meeting government. That's just the way it is, and we need everybody to participate to help us with it.
Well, they say the New England Open Town Meeting is the finest form of democracy. I mean, it's true democracy. You as a registered voter have the right to come and take a vote on the town budget, or on town policies, on town bylaws, but you have to participate. And if you don't show to town meeting and make the vote, then it's going to be hard to criticize whatever the vote was later. Some towns have had to move away as they grow in size from the open town meeting, and they either go to what they call a representative town meeting, where you vote for representatives of different neighborhoods or parts of town. So you might have, let's just say, 150 elected representatives that go and make votes for you. Or the next one above that is to convert from a town form of government to a city and have a city council, where you're electing councilors, much like a board of selectmen, but with a different scheme, a different charter. I think we all like and value the New England Open Town Meeting. It is a great opportunity. The only thing you can't do at town meeting is you can't stand up on a soapbox and talk about things that aren't on the warrant. The warrant is the agenda, the list of things that we need to vote on. And in order to move things along and to respect the time of everyone in attendance, we can only talk about and vote on those items that are printed in the warrant that have been, basically, everyone's been given notice that this is what we're going to talk about tonight. So,
I think one of the phrases that come to mind as we work through town meeting, you follow some rules of decorum.
Yep.
Typically, it's Robert's Rules of Order. For the most part, I think, I don't know if that's...
Town Meeting Time is actually the book.
Right.
It's kind of a quirky little name, but there's a book that most of the New England Open Town Meeting follows, Town Meeting Time, which is kind of a variation of Robert's Rules of Order. And there are procedures we go through, and there's also tradition. Each town has a little bit different way we go. Like in some towns, someone makes a motion and then someone has to second it, and then you take a vote. In Abington, we don't even bother with the second. The Finance Committee makes a motion and we take a vote, yay or no. Decorum is important. You're always respecting. You're not challenging people, you're challenging ideas or decisions, and you speak through the moderator, not at another person. And Abington's had a long history of very respectful debate and discussion. We don't have issues where we have to remove people from the auditorium, which we have the legal authority to do if someone gets out of line. Never had that happen in the town, and don't expect it ever will. Right. So it's a healthy exchange and a good way to be involved in your town.
And we do have, obviously there are times when town meeting has warrant articles, that are more likely to attract a good amount of people. And I'm sure when you were financing the school,
Yep.
or deciding whether to even build a school, that probably brought out a lot of people in the near future. We will be looking to ask the town if they're ready to build a fire station, and I think right now we're looking at it to be a co-location use with the Department of Public Works and on the police site, so we can create a new campus. So we're going to come to town meeting with a request for that at some point. We've already funded the study, the design, and hopefully that design will be ready for us to take at least the first step for in our Springtown meeting. So that typically does bring out a good crowd of people.
Yeah, and I think every once in a while you'll hear some naysayers saying, oh, it's special interests that go into a town meeting to vote for their one pet project. And in my mind, pretty much everything is a special interest to someone. You're there to support the library budget, or you're there to support the school budget, or the construction of the fire station, whatever. That's why we're there, and that's why you're asked to be there. And we vote the way our conscience and based on the best information we have. And as Scott mentioned, we try to do our best before town meeting through shows like this. We'll have a separate show talking about the September 27th town meeting. But not only do we mail a notice of how to get a copy of the warrant, it's posted on the website. We'll have discussions. You can watch finance committee meetings. The selectmen review everything at their meetings, which are also cablevised, to talk about what are we going to talk about and why are we taking votes on this item. So when you get to town meeting, you pretty much have a working knowledge of everything. But yet at town meeting, you can stand up and say, I'd like to ask a question. Can you explain to me this? And that's the beauty of it, where you're actively involved, and whatever is of special interest to you, you have a right to stand up and vote yes or vote no.
So is there anything else? Although I will say, as the, not just because of your role as a moderator, but, your how active you are in a lot of different facets of the town. We did start a working group on opera funding and how to, what's the best use of our American Recovery Plan Act funding. And we have members of the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen. Shawn, myself are on there, DPW director, and what we're working hard to do right now is to make sure that money is getting into the community in some of the best possible ways. We're looking at upgrades to most of the playing fields, some sort of an upgrade to pretty much every park. There'll be some of the money will go into the roads, into our infrastructure. Money is being used over at the Abington Joint Waterworks to upgrade the systems and filter out any of the PFAS.
Yep.
So we'll probably have an update on that at town meeting. I think I'll present something then, just to give everybody, probably not at the special, but at the annual. And we'll get some more information out there. But that's a great working group, I think, and you've been great help on it.
It's exciting. It's an exciting opportunity for the town of Abington and every other town, but I think you've done a great job of kind of spearheading this, that this is, again, the American Rescue Plan. It's federal money from the Biden administration plan coming to your community for you to decide how to invest it in something that you can see. Things that we would have always wanted to do but just don't have the money and don't want to go borrowing money. Now we have an opportunity to do some things. And so residents may see some improvements coming over the next month, over the next couple of months, a year and a half. One of the first things might be we're trying to fix the varsity baseball field, which has been in pretty difficult shape. If anyone knows about that field, I'm going to try to fix that this fall. A lot of other things coming, down the road, that we're trying to do things that people will notice and that people use and make it safer for the community and more enjoyable. And that's something that I think the residents of Abington have always rallied around, is our open, our recreational space, our gathering spaces, because that's where our kids play. That's where husband and wife meet neighbors, and it just builds a community. That's only one facet of what the opera money is going towards, but it works.
Yeah, and we have talked. We're putting money into things that, again, are always those items that we can't necessarily get the funding for because it gets pulled out into too many different areas, but doing a lot of the crosswalks over in town, some of the speed limit signs to try and make sure, things that we can do to make sure that people are driving safely. We're going to follow the master plan that was done for the town. The planning board is required to put together a master plan on a regular basis, and one of the things that were identified in our master plan was sort of our entrance ways to our downtown areas, right. And signage for that, and just fixing them up, and generally making them more welcoming.
Right.
So we're looking to do that, follow along with guidelines and recommendations. We're hoping to put some money into some trails and into open space. And again, a lot of the money, a good portion of it, will also go into just our infrastructure and making sure that our drinking water is safe, that we have good stormwater management practices, roads get done over, things like that.
It's a great investment and it increases the value of our community, and that helps everybody. If you proud to live in a town that is trying to keep things up and maintain things, and there was some difficult years where it was hard to maintain things, and this is an opportunity where we can kind of catch up to a few years of where we couldn't get things. And I want to send a shout out to a lot of our department. The police, the fire, the DPW, Park and Rec work incredibly well together. School department, they're all intertwined, they're all helping each other out, and it doesn't happen in every community, but Abington's been very fortunate for many years, and there's a lot of support of residents who appreciate that and notice that. And I'm excited to see some of these investments really come to fruition. Yeah. It's a process. I mean, you have to go out to bid,
right, I got
publicize, go through that. But you're going to see some good things coming to Abington, some more good things coming to Abington.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to it. So I think, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add?
No, just circle the date of Tuesday, September 27th for the special town meeting on Tuesday, September 27th at the auditorium at the Abington Middle High School, 7 o'clock start, but we do need at least 150 people to be there. This will be a short town meeting.
I think so. I think we probably wrap it up within an hour. There's mostly some housekeeping, some financial housekeeping we need to do. We have some union bargaining agreements that we could ratify that we'd like to fund. And we have several parcels of open space that we'd like to put into a permanent conservation restriction. In the Diane Circle area, there's the Zero Rockland Street, the Blueberry Hill. So there's all these parcels that would be, the selectmen have already voted on them, conservation's already voted on them, now we just need town meeting to give them a blessing. And these parcels will create some really nice permanent open space areas. So.
Yeah, I think that's another great way to protect our community, invest in our community. And I want to also give a little kudos to your office, the town manager's office, and your assistant town planner, Liz Shea, who you guys have put a huge emphasis on grant money applications. So in addition to our regular capital plan from our town budget and from the federal money, from the ARPA money, there's been a lot more grant money coming into the town to help fund some of these projects so that the taxpayer doesn't have to write the check. Yeah. And there's been a lot of great payback for that effort. So thank you, thank Liz, thank all of the people who are working behind the scenes on that.
Yeah, and we keep working on it every day. Keep looking for more grants. There are a lot of opportunities out there, and I think we talk about it at town meeting because it's typically some sort of a match or an upfront from the town to buy into it, but it's paid off in dividends, and we can get a lot more work done.
And Nick, another part of that puzzle that's been a huge contributing factor has been the Community Preservation Act, which the town approved a number of years ago, and that money also gets reinvested into our town through various forms of upgrading, whether it's historical or recreational or affordable housing. I know that we set up the Affordable Housing Trust just about a year or two ago, and that's been a very active committee to try to make plans for the future. So a lot of good things going on, and again, both Scott and I would encourage you, if there's something that interests you, step forward, get on a committee, attend a meeting, contact Scott. He can tell you if there's a vacancy, or if there's not, he'll tell you how to get involved.
And you'll see it on our website. There's a list of boards and committees that have vacancies. We mentioned a couple tonight, and they, people get on for a couple of years, and they either go to a different committee, or they'll move around, or they find that they can't make the commitment. So things open up all the time. So we're always looking for more people, more volunteers.
Yeah, it's a great community. There's a lot of Green Wave pride here in Abington.
There we go.
And, want to keep home openers coming up on, was it this September 17th, I believe, it was 16th, or Friday night. Yeah, good things going on, and yeah, Green Wave sports fields are kind of come alive in the next couple of weeks with all the different sports teams, youth sports teams out there, and the high school sports teams out there. So the fall is just another rejuvenation of the spirit in Abington. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
we have a lot of good events. As a matter of fact, my next guest, I'm hoping, will be someone or maybe some peoples from Abington Celebrates, and we'll start talking about what the fall and winter activities are going to be. Obviously the Oktoberfest and the winter.
Yep, they have the Christmas
Carnival,
events they have, and I mean, Abington Copes has a road race coming up. The Music Parents have a big their 41st annual craft fair coming up. There's all sorts of things coming up in this town that if you get out of the house, go down and visit. We've all been kind of cooped up for two years for good reason, for safety's sake, but now is a time to get out there and kind of meet your neighbors and enjoy your community.
And the concerts, did they just wrap up?
Just wrapped up the summer concerts.
I heard a lot of great things about. Everybody had a great time. They really loved it. Great crowds.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Nancy Reed, Jan Prowl, and the rest of the committee. I mean, there are literally about 1,000 people attending these, and it's from out of town. People hear about, let's go to Abington, and that's the kind of spirit and community pride we want to share, and that is just one example. And if you've never been to a Sunday summer concert at the Nisbee Bandstand, you got to do it next summer. It's fantastic. I tell my wife, it's kind of like a Norman Rockwell feeling when you're out there. You bring a little picnic, bring your kids, bring your cooler, and the music is outstanding. It's a great way to spend 2 hours on a Sunday evening. Yeah, and thanks to, the volunteers. It's all run and put together. Community donations. Yeah, so, again, if you're looking to get involved, there's a group that they could probably always use some help. Yeah, they are. In fact, Nancy and Jan were saying how, it's getting time for them to move on. They've been doing it for many years now, and it is fantastic. And it's just, they use it to kind of not only support those concerts, but to support the music program at the Abington school system, which has always been very successful. We hear a lot about the athletic program, but the music and drama program at Abington High School is outstanding. And there's another one. You can go see the drama productions. You'd be wowed by the quality of the presentations from, even if you don't know the students who are in the play or in the show. Go see it. It's really a great time. I still like going back to watch the shows. Okay. Well, that's all we have the time for today. Again, like I said, it's Town Manager's Corner, and I appreciate everybody's time and look forward to our next episode. And thank you to Shawn Reilly, our Town Moderator. Thank you.